Nanalo na Family Feud ng Team Bambam ng 200,000 pesos. Upload ni Mapods bukas tuwing araw ng Sabado. Family Feud.
5:40 p.m.
Napakagaling na 200,000 pesos sa susunod na linggo sa buwan ng August ng Family Feud.
Family Feud, 5:40 p.m.
Hindi ka ng ere na Fire Channel para sa lipunan ng Agosto. Manood, maglaro at manalo. Let's na sa badagam.ph dito sa Pi.
Welcome to my episode that is called
Nagmamano pa.
That's okay.
Speak tayo.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. The United States has announced fresh tariffs on dozens of countries hours before a self-imposed midnight deadline. The new tariffs are now due to come into effect next Thursday. A 35% levy on goods from Canada was introduced with immediate effect. However, almost 90% of products will be exempt under an existing trade treaty. Germany's Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul says his government is working to prevent Israel becoming diplomatically isolated over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He's held talks with senior Israeli politicians on reviving a ceasefire with Hamas. Wadephul is due to travel to the Israeli-occupied West Bank later today for a meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Ukraine's parliament has voted to restore the independence of anti-corruption agencies in a bill tabled by President Volodymyr Zelensky. The vote reverses the president's contentious move last week, which gave oversight of the anti-graft agencies to a political appointee. This is DW News. From Berlin, you'll find more on our website at dw.com.
With Israel. And Trump calls Russia's behavior against Ukraine disgusting. It's Friday, August 1st. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes every weekday. I'm Tara Oakes in London.
Tara Oaks in London.
US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order slapping steep tariffs on exports from dozens of countries, including a 35% duty on many goods from Canada and 50% for Brazil. US research group, the Yale Budget Lab, estimates that consumers face an effective US tariff rate of over 17%, the highest since 1934. Mexico has had a reprieve for now, with a 90-day delay to allow for more negotiations. Here's President Claudia Sheinbaum.
pues logramos un buen acuerdo. Nos mantenemos como estamos.
Here's our correspondent David Lauder with the latest.
I think one of the most significant takeaways is that he is actually plowing ahead with these higher rates. There's been talk about it. There's been also, you've heard of the term taco. Trump always chickens out, which is kind of a market term for, well, he's not actually going to do the worst of it. So Trump is moving ahead here, and he's not afraid to punish those countries that he feels are not cooperating, and Canada being one of them. Thus far, this has not had a huge effect on prices.
And the tariff collections don't actually start until a week from now. How is this going to affect countries that Trump hasn't made a deal with?
One of the interesting aspects of this tariff order is that the collections of the duties don't actually start for another 7 days. So that actually makes Trump deal, but not quite there yet. So it was On a call about this, officials denied that this was an actual delay, but it has the effect of sort of allowing more time for negotiations.
US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is in Israel, where the government is facing mounting international pressure over Gaza. France, the UK, and Canada are indicating they will recognize a Palestinian state if fighting in Gaza continues. Israel is criticizing the moves, saying the decisions reward Hamas. And, in the wake of the announcements by their allies on Palestinian statehood, the US has imposed sanctions on Palestinian officials, accusing them of undermining peace efforts with Israel. To look at what impact the recognition announcements could have on the US, here's our foreign policy editor, Don Durfee.
Now, these are all close allies, but we don't know if this is a coordinated effort, so there is a possibility that UK and Canada were waiting to see what kind of reaction France got from the United States. Was there a harsh retaliatory action? And then they decided to make their moves when it was just some criticism from the US, but nothing more than that.
So how does this affect the US and President Trump?
Yeah, I think there's definitely an intention to put a little bit of pressure on him. I mean, first the pressure is on Israel, but, also on the Trump administration. Trump had come out to say that he believes there's starvation happening in Gaza, right? Which is something that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has denied. When Trump had come out to say that seeing the images of starving children, this is clearly something that was happening. So it could be that the allies see an opening there, willingness of Trump to put a little bit more pressure on Israel. But I have to say it's really unclear what the U.S. is prepared to do here. After these announcements came out,
what they're doing. I think it's disgusting.
President Trump criticizing Russia's wave of missiles and drones on Kiev on Thursday, killing 16 people and wounding over 100 others. At one location, rescuers spent more than 3 hours reaching a man trapped in rubble. The man talked to the emergency services during the operation and was pulled out alive. Trump has given Russian President Vladimir Putin until August 8th to make a deal, or else, he says he'll respond with economic pressure. From the capital, we head to eastern Ukraine, where evacuations continue in the small town of Dobroplia. People boarding buses, carrying bags filled with what they can save. And for many, it's a difficult goodbye. As she sits on the bus, a woman named Lyubov says it's hard to tear herself away from her home, but that she has no choice. The front line of Russia's invasion is moving closer each week, and that's emptying this small town of 30,000 people. Aid worker Denise Naumov has been helping move people out of their homes and says the once quiet mining town is under constant threat. 18 months ago, Russian troops were over 50 kilometers away. Today, they're just 15 kilometers from the edge of town. Elsewhere in eastern Ukraine, Russia says it's captured the town of Chasiv Yar after nearly 16 months of fighting, opening the way for potential further advances. Elon Musk's brain implant company, Neuralink, has announced the launch of a clinical study with their thoughts. And military units have been battling raging wildfires. This is the largest wave of blazes in the Iberian Peninsula this year. Hot and dry summer weather is fueling the fires, which have led to evacuations. Police officers salute the casket of NYPD officer Diderul Islam in New York. Thousands of mourners lined the streets in New York City to watch the funeral procession. Islam was one of 4 people killed in a mass shooting in Midtown Manhattan on Monday. He was an immigrant from Bangladesh and leaves behind a pregnant wife and 2 young sons. Justin Timberlake has revealed he is living with Lyme disease. In a post on Instagram, he says he's a pretty private person, but was sharing the news to do his part to help others experiencing this disease too. And for today's recommended read, why European governments are taking steps to break their dependence on scientific data from the United States as the EU tries to tackle the US government's retreat from scientific research under President Trump's administration. We'll put a link to that story in today's podcast description. And a recommended listen too. Big news from us. Reuters World News Daily Briefing will now be out 7 days a week. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters to hear us on Saturday and Sunday too. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favourite podcast player, and we'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.
That's it for your news updates. To see more stories, open Google News.